Chapter 311, 194. Alien Class Genius. Luo Kyungsyu. Everyone was shocked by Lin Zikin's mental strength. It was hard to imagine a freshman could have such a high mental strength, reaching advanced second rank without fusing with the exotic beast gene. It was simply astonishing. As a legendary level strong person, Ye Yongsheng felt only a slight surprise towards the high level of Lin Zikin's mental strength, and did not reach the level of shock as the others did. Having lived for over 1,000 years and having guarded the origin land for countless years, he had seen numerous top-level geniuses. Among them, he had seen quite a few rare geniuses extraordinary like Lin Zikin. It was not enough to shock him anymore. Another point was that he himself, having evolved into a legendary level being, was a top-level genius that appeared once in a millennium. His performance when he was young, compared to Lin Zikin now, would only be better, not worse. Vice Governor, the reason I've been hiding my abilities is that I fear if I perform too outstandingly, it will invite frenzied attacks from heretics. If they only attack me, it's fine, but I'm afraid it would involve my family. I can't bear that consequence. Lin Zikin, risking possibly displeasing Ye Yongsheng, voiced his concerns. He spoke these concerns to Ye Yongsheng not to refuse to show his strength, but to seek protection. In a word, I can show my strength, but can you ensure my protection? Ye Yongsheng understood Lin Zikin's meaning and said with an unfazed expression, if I tell you to demonstrate your strength without reservation, naturally, I will ensure the safety of you and your family. In the origin land, I dare not promise, but on the lands of Zhu, when I say I'll keep someone safe, no one can harm that person. Therefore, you don't have to worry about safety, just show your strength as you please. I understand, Vice Governor. I will demonstrate my abilities to the fullest extent, so you can understand the upper limit of the pure-blood human path, Lin Zikin said respectfully. As he spoke these words, his heart was filled with some trepidation. Ye Yongsheng had only said that he would ensure his and his family's safety, but he had not specified how he would do so. Would he assign a personal bodyguard? Or relocate them to a safe place? Or some other measures? Ye Yongsheng had not mentioned any specific protective measures, which made it hard for Lin Zikin to feel reassured. However uneasy he felt, Lin Zikin did not dare to ask. Because he felt that he might have already offended Ye Yongsheng by voicing his concerns. If he were to ask Ye Yongsheng how exactly he would provide protection, it would be tantamount to courting death. Leaders mostly detest being questioned by their subordinates about their statements. Lin Zikin could imagine the scenario. If he were so foolish to ask Ye Yongsheng how exactly he would offer protection, Ye Yongsheng would probably think. Being a vice governor, if I say I'll keep you safe, it means just that. You still ask me how exactly I'll keep you safe? Are you questioning my ability? Ye Yongsheng was unaware of all these irrelevant thoughts in Lin Zikin's mind. He turned to his male secretary and said, Xiaozhang, add this student Lin to WeChat and send him that list. Yes. The male secretary complied, walking briskly to Lin Zikin, pulling out his phone, opening WeChat, and adding him as a friend. Then, he sent him a document. The file name was Alien Class Genius List. Alien Class Genius List? What was that? Lin Zikin curiously opened the list, and immediately saw a bunch of names. He counted, a total of 28 names. He read through the names on the list, finding them unfamiliar, not knowing any of them. Wait. There was one he knew. The familiar name was Luo Kyungsyu. Lin Zikin had a deep impression of this name. Because this person was Shen Qinghan's never-seen-before senior apprentice sister, Yuan Dongji's top disciple. At the same time, she was also suspected to be the white-haired girl transfer student from his second grade in elementary school by Shuet. Lin Zikin remembered that this girl named Luo Kyungsyu seemed to be in the origin land now. So were all the people on this list in the origin land? All were geniuses unknown to the world? As Lin Zikin pondered, Shen Qinghan curiously leaned over to look at the list on his phone. She did not recognize any of the names on the list. Her social circle largely overlapped with Lin Zikin's. People unknown to Lin Zikin were most likely unknown to her as well. Hey? Luo Kyungsu? Seeing this name on the list, Shen Qinghan's delicate and pretty eyebrows raised slightly in surprise. Her senior apprentice sister was actually on this list? Was she an alien class genius? What level was an alien class genius? Could it compare with Xiao Chen? Shen Qinghan silently wondered to herself. At that moment, Ya Yongsheng spoke, "The people on this list are the top young geniuses in the country, and only those under 30 are eligible for selection. Every genius on this list is a rare talent that appears once a century, each has the makings of a legend, with the potential to evolve into legendary-level beings. These alien-class geniuses are the main force in Earth's resistance against the Origin Land." Ya Yongsheng paused for a moment, then asked, "Do you recognize anyone on the list?" "No," Lin Zikin shook his head. "That's correct." Ya Yongsheng continued, "Most of the people on this list were sent to the Origin Land for focused training before they were of school age, not on the same track as the geniuses who follow the education system like you." Chapter 312, 194. Alien Class Genius. Luo Kyungsu, _2. Lin Zikin puzzled, entering the Origin Land at such a young age, can they withstand the backlash of the world force there? Ya Yongsheng said calmly, "There are always exceptions. Just because ordinary people cannot withstand it doesn't mean that alien class geniuses can't either." After hearing this, Lin Zikin fell into deep thought. What level of existence are these alien class geniuses? Compared to me, who was born with an unfair advantage, who is stronger and who is weaker? And what about the aliens themselves? What level of strength do these natives living in the Origin Land possess? Lin Zikin was filled with curiosity about this. At the same time, both Lu Juanwu and Song Yuan widened their eyes, mouths agape, their faces full of disbelief, and a shock ran through their hearts. Both were ordinary biological beings, neither of whom had ever entered the Origin Land, so they didn't know much about the situation there. However, they both knew that Earth's creatures entering the Origin Land would be counteracted by the world force of the Origin Land. And they also clearly understood that the biological level of Origin Land creatures had to at least start at a high level to better withstand the world force's backlash. Yet, the alien class geniuses that Ya Yongsheng just mentioned were not even of school age and could already withstand the backlash of the world force in the Origin Land. What kind of freaks were they? Elsewhere. Compared to Lu Juanwu and Song Yuan, Yuan Dongji's expression was completely emotionless, her face as calm as a windless water surface. Her top disciple Luo Kyungsu was on the list, which gave her some understanding of the alien class geniuses on the list, and she had long been aware of the existence of such people. Therefore, when she heard about these so-called alien class geniuses from Ya Yongsheng once again, her heart remained undisturbed. "Vice-Governor, how does the genius Li Yujin from Jing University and the mechanical genius girl from the Mech God Corporation compare to the alien class geniuses on the list? Is the gap big?" Lin Zikin asked curiously. Ya Yongsheng said indifferently, "There's no basis for comparison. The two people you mentioned are not on the same level as the alien class geniuses on the list." No basis for comparison? Lin Zikin was somewhat surprised by Ya Yongsheng's answer. For a long time, he had thought that the geniuses from Jing University and the mechanical genius girl were the limit of talent besides himself. After all, these two were very famous, often appearing in various news reports. Many reports would give these two all sorts of eye-catching titles. Titles like the Peerless Duet, Earth's Strongest Geniuses, and the Hope of All Humanity, for instance. The titles seemed so exaggerated that it made one feel that these two were the pinnacle of Earth's people. However, compared to the alien class geniuses on the list, they had no basis for comparison. This was somewhat humorous. "I sent you this list to tell you that there are people beyond people and heavens beyond heavens. Don't limit your vision to Earth. Ye Yongsheng took a sip of tea and continued, many of the top geniuses you know are at most big ants in the origin land, insignificant and unable to stir up any ripples. Simply put, the geniuses on Earth are not geniuses, it's the geniuses in the origin land who are the real geniuses. Your talent currently seems quite impressive, reaching the level of an alien human. But that's only for the early stage. What happens later will depend on your performance going forward, with the key being the extent of your progress. So, starting today, show your strength and talent well, and strive to meet the standards required to enter the list of alien-class geniuses. Once you are on the list, you will have access to evolutionary resources beyond your imagination. Ye Yongsheng put down the teacup, his voice as calm as a still well. These resources are enough to push a creature with an ordinary level cap up to the rare level. Hearing this, Lin Zikin's eyes lit up. To push a creature with an ordinary level cap to the rare level where Yuan Dongji currently stood. How many resources would be needed to achieve that? He had to get on the list. He must enter this alien-class genius list. Thinking this, Lin Zikin's voice was filled with determination. I will show my strength and talent well in the coming days, striving to enter the list as soon as possible. Not to disappoint the vice-governor. Disappointment? Not a chance. With his cheats, he was fully confident he could enter the list of alien-class geniuses and obtain the evolutionary resources mentioned by Ye Yongsheng. Looking forward to your performance. Ye Yongsheng said calmly. After speaking, his gaze, sharp like an eagle's, shifted from Lin Zikin to Shen Qinghan standing beside him. The moment the gaze fell on her, Shen Qinghan immediately tensed up. She then quickly lowered her head, fidgeting nervously and staring at the tips of her shoes, not daring to make any eye contact with the vice-governor in front of her. She was too timid, lacking the courage to even look the vice-governor with a strong aura straight in the eyes. Seeing her act so timidly, Ye Yongsheng could not help but wonder, with such outstanding talent, you have the timidity of a mouse. I'm quite curious, how did this disposition of yours come about? Shen Qinghan didn't make a sound and just buried her head even lower. Noticing her nervousness, Lin Zikin spoke up to explain on her behalf, Governor, she was bullied by classmates in her school days and left with a psychological trauma, so she is quite timid. I see. Ye Yongsheng nodded, then looked at Shen Qinghan with interest, saying, your body contains the exotic beast gene, but it hasn't fused. Instead, you keep it under control. Also, there are signs that your sinews and flesh have been tempered. It seems you have practiced the blood tempering technique, following the pure blood human path. Your physique is truly unique, even if placed on the list, it's one of the rarest. As he spoke, Ye Yongsheng shook his head and said, it's a pity that the biological level is too low. Although you have undergone body refining once, your biological level is only a common 6th order, which is a bit disappointing when it comes to fulfilling your potential. Hearing this, a flash of surprise crossed Shen Qinghan's heart. She had not expected her special physique to be identified at a glance. Lu Chuanwu and Song Yuan, on the other hand, suddenly widened their eyes, their faces instantly filled with shock. What? Shen Qinghan hasn't fused with the exotic beast gene? She is following the pure-blood human path? How did this happen? Lu Chuanwu and Song Yuan were both bewildered, unable to grasp the situation, and wanted to ask Shen Qinghan what was going on. However, given the current circumstances, they could only hold their questions in their hearts for the time being. Ye Yongsheng saw the shock on the faces of Lu Chuanwu and Song Yuan, realizing that like Lin Zikin, Shen Qinghan was also hiding her true strength and had not revealed her full capabilities. In response, he said to Shen Qinghan, young lady, try your best to perform well alongside your childhood sweetheart, and strive to make it onto the list, too. Leaving these words behind, he picked up the research findings on the pure-blood human path and started walking out of the research institute. He had been in the institute for more than 10 minutes, having learned enough about Lin Zikin and the pure-blood human path, and it was time to leave. As the vice-governor, there were many matters to attend to every day, no second to waste. "Governor, let me see you out." Seeing Ye Yongsheng about to leave, Yuan Dongji quickly stood up to escort him. The others, upon seeing this, also got up in haste to bid Ye Yongsheng farewell as he left the research institute. This was a vice-governor, after all, not someone to be treated lightly. All due respect had to be fully given. Quite soon, as everyone watched, Ye Yongsheng and his secretary took off in an aircraft. The others, upon seeing this, also got up in haste to bid Ye Yongsheng farewell as he left the research institute. This was a vice-governor, after all, not someone to be treated lightly. All due respect had to be fully given. Quite soon, as everyone watched, Ye Yongsheng and his secretary took off in an aircraft. P.S. Setting down my bowl, begging for monthly votes and recommendation tickets. Chapter 313, Coffin Woman. The Secret of Blood Tempering Technique. King Han, you clearly walk the path of genetic fusion, how could Ye Zhou's leader say you are following the pure blood human path? Han, Ye Zhou's leader just said that you've undergone body refining once, what's that about? Your skin looks soft and supple, like it could be broken with the flick of a finger. That doesn't seem like skin that has been tempered. Lu Chuanwu and Song Yuan stood in front of Shen Qinghan with puzzled expressions, asking questions in turn. Shen Qinghan didn't know whether to answer or not. She also didn't know how to answer. Eventually, she could only look at Lin Zikan helplessly, hoping he would help her out of the predicament. Lin Zikan was used to this. Quickly, he calmly explained for Shen Qinghan, Han Han's constitution is very special. When the exotic beast gene is injected into her body, it doesn't fuse with her genes but is controlled by them. After successfully controlling them, she can manipulate these controlled exotic beast genes at will. With just a thought, she can activate these genes or put them into hibernation. When I saw that she hadn't fused with the exotic beast gene and was still a pure-blood human, I taught her the blood tempering technique to see if she could walk the pure-blood human path. Then, with the gene of the Azure Jellyfish King within her and the ability to control liquids at her command, she quickly learned the blood tempering technique and successfully embarked on the pure-blood human path. Similarly, because of her ability to control liquids, her efficiency in practicing the blood tempering technique for body refining is extremely high. It's almost as good as mine. She quickly achieved body tempering great accomplishment in one try. However, because her biological level is not high and her chi blood strength is low, the quality of her body refining isn't adequate, resulting in the situation where even though she has achieved body tempering great accomplishment on her first try, her biological level is only that of an ordinary 6th order. Simply put, with her feeble chi blood strength, she originally wouldn't have been able to practice the blood tempering technique. She could practice it only because she had the ability to control liquids and take shortcuts. And the cost of taking shortcuts is that the quality of body refining is significantly reduced. After finishing, Lin Zikan added, as for her skin looking like it could be broken with the flick of a finger, it is just that it only looks that way. In reality, the strength of her skin has already reached the level where it's impervious to swords and spears. After listening to Lin Zikan's explanation, Lu Chuanwu and Song Yuan finally understood Shen Qinghan's situation. Basically, Shen Qinghan could cultivate both paths, possessing the abilities of a genetic integrator while also cultivating the blood tempering technique and walking the pure-blood human path. For Lu Chuanwu and Song Yuan, this was incredibly unbelievable and hard to accept as truth. But the reality was right before their eyes, and they had no choice but to believe it. Taking a moment to gather their thoughts, Song Yuan looked at Shen Qinghan and said, Han, can I study your hand? I want to see if you've truly achieved body tempering great accomplishment in one go. Sure, you can. Shen Qinghan nodded obediently. Seeing her consent, Song Yuan quickly took one of her hands and began testing the strength of it, prodding and pinching. Without testing, it was fine, but upon testing, she was suddenly filled with life's skepticism. Shen Qinghan had truly achieved body-tempering great accomplishment in one go. Whether it was the skin, muscles, or bones, all showed clear signs of having been tempered. At the same time, all had strength impervious to blades and spears. But why did her skin feel so soft and smooth? And why were her muscles not firm at all but rather too soft, with an excellent feel? Normally, any part of the body that has been tempered by qi blood would to some degree lose some beauty and feel, in exchange for increased strength. So the question arises: why, even though Shen Qinghan has already achieved body-tempering great accomplishment one time, did her body not lose even a hint of beauty and feel? Does that make sense? Obviously, it does not make sense, right? Song Yuan couldn't understand and could only look up at Shen Qinghan with puzzlement in her eyes, staring at her beautiful face that was unrealistically pretty, and asked, "Han Han, why is your skin so soft and smooth, and your muscles so supple, even though you've achieved body-tempering great accomplishment?" Without waiting for Shen Qinghan to answer, Lin Zikan spoke on her behalf, "It's due to her special constitution." "What kind of miraculous constitution is this?" Song Yuan was incredibly envious, continuing to caress Shen Qinghan's hand lovingly while saying, "If only I had this kind of special constitution, I could save so much money on skincare products." Hearing Song Yuan mention saving money, even Lin Zikan found it difficult to keep a straight face. This mixed-race beauty wasn't serious, was she? To have such an incredible special constitution and only think about saving money on skincare products? Where is the vision, the horizon, the dream? No wonder even with an annual salary of $1 million, she still scrimped on rent and utilities, forcing herself to make do with an old and chaotic research institute for accommodation. It seemed she was utterly obsessed with saving money. While Lin Zikan was inwardly criticizing Song Yuan, Lu Chuanwu glanced at Yuan Dongji, hesitated for a moment, then finally took the plunge and said to Shen Qinghan, "Qinghan, since you're following the pure-blood human path, why don't you join our Tianren Pavilion?" There in front of everyone, especially front of Yuan Dongji, he was trying to entice her disciple into joining Tianren Pavilion. "What do you mean by this, Lu?" Yuan Dongji's brows furrowed slightly, and she looked at Lu Chuanwu with displeasure as she questioned him. Caught trying to poach his ex-wife's protégé in public, Lu Chuanwu lacked confidence, but thinking of the matter concerning the strengthening of Tianren Pavilion, he chose to assert boldly, "She hasn't fused with the exotic beast gene, she's taken the pure-blood human path. It's only reasonable for her to join Tianren Pavilion." Chapter 314, Coffin Woman. The Secret of Blood Tempering Technique, _2. You don't know she's my disciple. She may be your disciple, but that doesn't prevent her from joining the Tianren Pavilion, does it? Just because she joins the Tianren Pavilion, doesn't mean she stops being your disciple, right? Then you should have asked for my opinion first. Fine, I'm asking for your opinion now. Do you agree with her joining the Tianren Pavilion or not? Seeing Yuan Dongji's attitude seemed a bit softer, Lu Chuanwu became increasingly assertive. In his younger days, he was always this assertive toward Yuan Dongji. On the bed, he'd pat her buttocks and she'd do whatever he said. His word was law, utterly domineering. He was the epitome of tough guy masculinity. The reason he was somewhat yielding to Yuan Dongji just now was mainly because the gap between their biological levels was too vast. Besides, through their occasional bedroom interactions over the years, he could feel that Yuan Dongji's temperament had become much harsher after her divorce. He worried that if he publicly poached Yuan Dongji's little disciple to join the Tianren Pavilion, she would not stand for it. And then, in a fit of temper, she might forget their past and beat him up right there. If that happened, it would be too embarrassing for him, a nearly 100-year-old institute director. But now, seeing Yuan Dongji's mood seemed very stable, he naturally became bolder and sought to reclaim the dominance he had in bed over this miss from the Yuan family. "Come with me." Yuan Dongji tossed out this sentence expressionlessly. After speaking, she headed towards the inside of the research institute. Lu Chuanwu felt a bit intimidated, suspecting that Yuan Dongji was angry and was going to beat him up inside. But on second thought, it was better to be beaten up inside than outside, so he lifted his leg and followed her in. Oh no, the director's done for. He actually dared to act so arrogant in front of Principal Yuan. He's definitely going to have his legs broken. Seeing both Lu Chuanwu and Yuan Dongji enter, Song Yuan immediately gloated. Shen Qinghan said excitedly, Xiao Chen, if I can join the Tianren Pavilion, I can come to the institute with you every day from now on. Lin Zikan nodded, indeed. Song Yuan was still holding Shen Qinghan's little hand, not letting go, and she spoke as if she were infatuated. Han Han, you're following the pure-blood human path, so you must join the Tianren Pavilion. Then, Sister Yan will teach you yoga, make your figure even sexier. Guaranteed, once your Zi Chen sees your curvy figure, he'll turn into a big lecher every day, touching you and never wanting to let go, embracing you and unable to extricate himself. Hearing Song Yuan's words, Shen Qinghan's face turned a hint of crimson, feeling rather embarrassed. This beautiful mixed-race sister was so open-minded, speaking without restraint, making it so awkward. She's attractive, with a great body, and such an open personality, wouldn't she tempt Xiao Chen at the institute? No. I must join the Tianren Pavilion. Shen Qinghan thought about these things to herself and silently made up her mind to join the Tianren Pavilion. As a child, she never worried about Lin Zikan being taken by other girls. But as she grew up, with more mature sexual development and an increasing sense of possessiveness, she began to worry about this issue. She trusted Lin Zikan's character, but she also feared the nature of men. After all, whether heroes have a weakness for beauty or gentlemen prefer fair ladies, these are facts that cannot be ignored. Most importantly, there were too many temptations around Lin Zikan. Almost every girl had a liking for him and would want to be a vixen trying to get close to him, developing their relationship further. With so many temptations, what if one day he couldn't hold back and got lured away by a vixen? To avoid this situation, she, as his fiancée, had to take the initiative to help him eliminate these temptations. The vixen purification plan begins. A few minutes later, Lu Chuanwu and Yuan Dongji came out of the institute. Yuan Dongji looked at Shen Qinghan and said, "From now on, you are a member of the Tianren Pavilion." Ah! Song Yuan was puzzled. In her mind, Yuan Dongji was always stern-faced, seemingly a tough woman not easy to converse with. Yet now, within just a few short minutes, old Lu Chuanwu had swiftly secured her agreement to let her little disciple join the Tianren Pavilion. What was going on? Song Yuan thought to herself, glancing at Lu Chuanwu beside Yuan Dongji. Seeing a hint of smugness on Lu Chuanwu's face, she couldn't help but let her mind wander to the adulterated possibilities. Wondering if Lu Chuanwu had just conquered Yuan Dongji in the institute, using his still vigorous body to persuade her, dressed in her cheongsam. No wonder Song Yuan would think this way, Lu Chuanwu's entrenched image was too deeply ingrained in people's minds. He was always busy late at night, engaging in deep interactions with his ferocious old flames, studying the strength of pure-blood humans tirelessly through the night. In Sakura Sea country, such a man would be a top-tier gigolo capable of emptying the wallets of married women. Elsewhere, Shen Qinghan looked at Yuan Dongji with an expectant face and asked, "Master, now that I've joined the Tianren Pavilion, does that mean I don't have to attend classes at the Evolution Tower anymore?" Compared to attending classes at the Evolution Tower, she preferred to stay with Lin Zikan in the institute. Even if she did nothing, just sitting by Lin Zikan's side made her feel blissful. Yuan Dongji said indifferently, "You're on the pure-blood human path. Classes on genetic fusion would be a waste of time for you. However, courses like dissecting exotic beasts and identifying exotic plants, you can attend those." Chapter 315, Coffin Woman. The Secret of Blood Tempering Technique, _3. These theoretical classes are pretty useful for you at your current stage. Yuan Dongji added after finishing, anyway, it's up to you if you like them. You can take them if you want, and if you don't want to, then don't. Shen Qinghan nodded, I got it, master. As she said these words, the smile at the corner of her mouth could no longer be hidden, and she smiled especially happily. From today on, she could follow Lin Zikin to the research institute every day and stick with him all the time. They chatted for a while at the entrance of the research institute. When Yuan Dongji saw that the time was almost up, she prepared to leave by aerial flight. Before leaving, Yuan Dongji looked at Lu Juanwu, who often made promises to women but almost never delivered, and said seriously, President Lu, remember the thing you just promised me inside, don't go back on your word. Rest assured, I never deceive women. Lu Juanwu, who had lied to enough women to circle the earth, said with a face full of certainty, slapping his chest. Yuan Dongji also laughed, Ha, I don't know how you can say that without blushing, your skin is even thicker than a pig's. After saying that, she lightly tapped the ground with the tip of her foot, and her whole body instantly rose into the sky. Then, accompanied by a breeze, she flew unhurriedly in the direction of the administrative building. President, how did you manage to deal with such a tough nut to crack as Principal Yuan, an ice beauty? After Yuan Dongji left, Song Yuan immediately looked at Lu Juanwu, expressing her surprise. Lu Juanwu laughed, no matter how tough she is, she's still a woman. When it comes to dealing with women, I only need to make a small move to easily have them wrapped around my finger. Not to mention, she's someone I've conquered before. The moment she moves her big behind, I know exactly what's on her mind. Song Yuan asked curiously, President, what exactly did you promise Principal Yuan back in the institute? Lu Juanwu puffed out his chest a bit, proudly saying, I didn't promise much, just agreed to go to her place and fix her garden tonight, and she gave in. Just that. Song Yuan expressed doubt, just one visit and she gave in to you? I feel like you're fooling me. Little Yuan, you can't understand the charms of this president, a girl like you who hasn't even touched a man's hand. After dropping such a line, Lu Juanwu turned around with his hands behind his back and went back inside the institute, leaving behind a stylish silhouette to Song Yuan, who was almost 30 but still had her first kiss. It was the silhouette of a seducer of married women. Here, married women refers to those with the looks of a married woman, but the age of an old lady. When the age gap is too big, Lu Juanwu doesn't touch. Physical interaction without common language is soulless. Watching Lu Juanwu's departing figure, Song Yuan pursed her lips disbelievingly. Then turning to Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan beside her, she said, the president is definitely showing off again. I'm telling you guys, that old fraudster loves to brag. You two shouldn't believe him. When I first joined Tianren Pavilion, I was fooled by him round and round. I really thought he was a hidden master who was incredibly strong. But as you all know, he's nothing but a Poseidon who even gets his funding from women. Song Yuan's words were indeed not wrong. Lu Juanwu had indeed been boasting just now. The condition Yuan Dongji agreed on for letting Shen Qinghan join Tianren Pavilion was to have Lu Juanwu come over for a meal at the Yuan family. Not to fix her garden by driving piles into the ground. Come on, Han Han, Sister Yan will take you back to the institute to get familiar with the environment. From now on, the institute will be your main base for learning. Song Yuan said while pulling Shen Qinghan by the hand, leading her toward the institute. Lin Zikin silently followed behind the two of them. By the time he returned to the office, Lin Zikin walked into Lu Juanwu's office, found him, and asked curiously, President, you said before that once I evolve to advanced level, you would find me a powerful backer. What's the level of the backer you're looking for, and are they more powerful than the Yezhou chief? You might not believe this, but to be honest, I'm not too clear on that either. Lu Chuanwu said, stroking his beard. Lin Zikin was bewildered. What the hell? The powerful backer you want to find, you're not clear about their strength? How unreliable is that? Seeing Lin Zikin's look of distrust, Lu Chuanwu also felt a bit guilty. The backer he mentioned to Lin Zikin was still lying in a coffin in the Li family's basement. Since they dug her out from the ruins, he had never seen the woman inside the coffin even once. Because the coffin was sealed, the lid simply could not be opened. Lu Chuanwu believed the woman in the coffin could be Lin Zikin's backer solely because she was the pavilion director of Tianren Pavilion. As the pavilion director of Tianren Pavilion, her strength surely wouldn't be weak. She must at least be an epic-level powerhouse. Otherwise, how could she qualify to be the pavilion director? Of course, all these were personal conjectures that Lu Chuanwu had made by analyzing relics and artifacts from the ruins. What the reality was, nobody could say for certain. After calming his nerves a bit, Lin Zikin looked at Lu Chuanwu and asked again, "President, who exactly is the powerful backer you are looking for?" Lu Chuanwu replied, "The pavilion director of Tianren Pavilion." The pavilion director of Tianren Pavilion. Lin Zikin was surprised by the answer. He quickly asked, "President, aren't you the pavilion director of Tianren Pavilion?" "Of course not." After answering, Lu Chuanwu, while stroking his graying beard, explained, "I am just an archaeologist who dug the pavilion director of Tianren Pavilion out from the ruins." Upon hearing this explanation, Lin Zikin was momentarily stunned. After snapping back to reality, he hurriedly asked, "President, what exactly is going on here?" Lu Chuanwu picked up the insulated mug from the desk, took a sip of goji berry tea to moisten his throat, and then began to explain. The blood tempering technique was unearthed from the ruins. It's a method of body refining from an era on Earth a long time ago. This body refining method was an evolutionary path in that era. A path that could allow Earth's creatures to evolve to a higher level. Since there is the existence of a body refining technique, then there must certainly be a group of beings who specialized in cultivating this method to evolve. For such a group gathered together, evolving in the same way, we often refer to them as a sect or an ancient lineage. And Tianren Pavilion was a sect or lineage from that era. When I was excavating the ruins of Tianren Pavilion, I dug out a bronze ancient coffin. Inside the coffin lay a living person. A woman who claims to be the pavilion director of Tianren Pavilion. Now, this woman's physical condition is very weak, weakened to the point of being nearly unconscious in a dormant state. Before she weakened to this state, she taught me the most fundamental blood tempering cultivation technique. And she told me that as long as I, with my pure blood human body, could evolve into an advanced level creature, then I could unseal her from the bronze ancient coffin by transferring blood chi power through the air. However, after so many years of practicing the blood tempering technique, my biological level has been stuck at the ordinary 9th rank, not seeing any possibility of breaking through the shackles of ordinary creatures. At this point, Lu Chuanwu looked into Lin Zikin's eyes and said, "Just when I was about to give up, you appeared. P.S. Begging for monthly votes and recommendation tickets." Chapter 316, 196. Storming the Summit Chart. Veterans are just stepping stones. Transferring blood chi power to the woman in the coffin? Upon hearing this, Lin Zikin couldn't help but frown slightly. This so-called Tianren Pavilion director, whom he had never even met, was an unknown factor, friend or foe. Just like that, to transfer blood chi power to her. To help her break the seal. Wasn't it a bit too hasty? What if the occupant of the ancient coffin from Tianren Pavilion turned out to be a malevolent figure who just drained me completely? With this concern in mind, Lin Zikin asked, "Director, how much do you know about the pavilion director in the bronze ancient coffin?" Lu Chuanwu, knowing what he was worried about, smiled and said, "Rest assured, the pavilion director's character is trustworthy. She is a grand benevolent figure whose name will be etched in history." A name etched in history. Lin Zikin was skeptical of this description. Could the woman in the bronze ancient coffin be some famous historical figure? But after thinking it over, it seemed that there was no such woman in history. Setting aside the truthfulness, thinking of famous historical female figures with some degree of martial prowess, probably the only one that came to mind was Hua Mulan, who took her father's place in the army. Lu Chuanwu patiently explained, the history in the name etched in history that I mentioned doesn't refer to the history we know, but rather, the age of the gods recorded in the many relics. That was an era where immortals were everywhere. Many of the gods in our current myths all come from that era. Of course, I can't ascertain the truth. After all, my understanding of that era mostly comes from the relics, and no one can confirm if these records in the relics are somewhat exaggerated. Perhaps a powerful being who could lift a 10,000 jin boulder with one hand was exaggeratedly described as someone who could lift a whole mountain single-handedly. Listening, Lin Zikin nodded in agreement with what Lu Chuanwu said. In ancient times, due to limited knowledge, many people tended to greatly exaggerate when describing events. A hunter who went up the mountain and killed a python might eventually be rumored to have slain a terrifying 100-meter-long jiaolong. And the originally ordinary hunter would be transformed into a powerful, dragon-slaying immortal in these tales. Having mentioned this age of gods, let's now return to the pavilion director in the coffin. Lu Chuanwu took a sip of his warm goji berry tea and continued, when I was young, besides being a martial artist, I was also a professional archaeologist. To this day, I've excavated a total of 38 relics from the Age of Gods. In these 38 relics, 8 mentioned the Tianren Pavilion's pavilion director. From them, I learned that the pavilion director's name is Qi Qingmo and she was known by the title Love Immortal. She was called Love Immortal because she was different from other immortal gods. Other immortal gods would regard mortals as mere ants, but she treated them as her own kin. When mortals suffered from famine, she would hunt wild game to provide them with meat. When mortals faced floods, she would create channels to alleviate flooding. When mortals were oppressed by high and mighty immortal gods, she would intervene to stop it. In order to allow weak and frail mortals to embark on the path to immortality and gain divine powers, she painstakingly researched and developed the tempering blood technique, a method of body refining. This so-called path to immortality, when put in the context of our current era, is essentially a path that allows ordinary life forms to evolve into gods. The path to immortality? An evolutionary path to become gods? Mortals? As Lin Zikin listened to Lu Chuanwu's explanation, he fell into a deep contemplation. Soon, he asked, Director, the immortal gods and mortals you just mentioned, do they correspond to origin land and earth? After saying that, he added, what I mean is, do the mortals refer to earthlings, and do the immortal gods refer to creatures from origin land, or to be more precise, to the other humans from origin land? Lu Chuanwu shook his head. I once had the same conjecture, but later I discovered it doesn't seem to be the case. Earth and origin land are clearly two different worlds. But the records in the relics show that mortals and immortal gods lived in the same world, without a clear geographical distinction between their territories. Hearing this, Lin Zikin felt a bit muddled. He found that the relationship between origin land and earth was much more complex than he had imagined. Origin land remained a place full of mystery and unknowns, giving off the vibe of another universe. Lu Chuanwu continued, anyway, the occupant of the coffin inside Tianren Pavilion is a good person, you don't need to worry too much. If you're really concerned, when you evolve into an advanced level creature with the body of a pure blood human and are about to transfer blood chi power to the pavilion director in the coffin, I will find several strong individuals to accompany you, to give you a sense of security. Also, I sent you more than 10 pictures on WeChat, all related to the Tianren Pavilion's pavilion director, which you can look at when you have time at home. Lin Zikin, Director, I'd like to see the bronze ancient coffin you mentioned. Lu Chuanwu, the bronze ancient coffin has a sleeping period. During this period the coffin will turn grey, and approaching it can harm one's spirit, Only when the coffin turns green, it can be approached. It is currently in its sleeping period. In a few more months, it should turn green, and I will take you to see it then. For now, you can satisfy your curiosity with the pictures." Saying this, Lu Juanwu sent a few more pictures to Lin Zikan on WeChat. Lin Zikan immediately opened the chat to view the coffin pictures Lu Juanwu sent. Just from the pictures, it was an unremarkable stone coffin, nothing intriguing. Chapter 317, 196, hit the peak chart. All the recurring characters are just stepping stones. _2. After a couple of glances, he stopped looking. A few months later, when the coffin turns green, I'll go check out the real thing with Lu Juanwu. In the following time, Lin Zikan continued talking with Lu Juanwu about the Tianren pavilion director inside the coffin. After chatting for over an hour and feeling like they covered pretty much everything, Lin Zikan left the lab and sat down in the living and leisure area, looking through the photos sent by Lu Juanwu. The content of the photos pertained to the records of the Tianren pavilion director, all written in ancient texts from that era, similar to the script found in the blood tempering technique scripture. Lin Zikan had learned this type of script and could understand the content it conveyed. After examining it seriously, he found that, indeed, as Lu Juanwu had said, the Tianren pavilion director lying in the coffin really was a love immortal and was quite amiable towards mortals. An hour later, Lin Zikan saw it was getting late, so he didn't linger in the research institute and went home to dine with Shen King Han. Watching the two of them leave together, Lu Juanwu said to Song Yuan, "Yuan, you're not getting any younger, nearly 30 now, you should hurry up and find a man to discuss marriage with." Song Yuan waved her hand, "No, finding a man would scatter my focus. I want to keep my energy for researching the pure-blood human path." Lu Juanwu was speechless. "Who told you that you have to be single to do research? Look at me and Zi Chen, who is single. Especially me, I'm with a different woman every night to sweat it out, yet during the day I still conduct research and produce results." Song Yuan was not persuaded, saying, "Being single is free and unencumbered, without the need to consider someone else's feelings. I like being single, long live singlehood." Lu Juanwu, "If you don't find a man while you're young, when you get older, you won't be able to find one, and you'll have to remain an older single woman forever." Song Yuan, "I don't care, I really don't care, long live singlehood. Forget it, I can't be bothered to persuade you." Lu Juanwu shook his head and walked away, not wanting to discuss this topic with Song Yuan any further. As soon as he heard Song Yuan chanting long live singlehood, he couldn't help but recall his deceased daughter, which made him feel a bit sad. When his daughter was still alive, she also used to declare she wanted to remain single, expressing no interest in men. At 11 p.m., Lin Zikan finished practicing the blood tempering technique, took a hot shower, and went to bed early to look at his phone and the list of alien class geniuses sent by Ye Yongshen's secretary via WeChat. There were 28 names on the list. Beneath each name were 3 brief descriptions of their achievements. Name: Zhao Qingxian. Age: 26. Achievements: jointly killed a rare level 1st order thundercloud beast, solo killed a high level 9th order vermilion poisonous snake, escaped successfully from the pursuit of several rare level fighters. Name: Fu Zhou. Age: 24. Achievements: solo killed a high level 7th rank human faced demon spider, solo killed a high level 7th rank yin creature. Name: Luo Qingxiu. Age: 19. Achievements: traversed the Death Snow Valley alone. Solo killed a high-level 5th rank disciple from the Snow Sect, designed a trap to severely injure a rare level 1st order ice crystal tiger. Lin Zikan felt increasingly amazed as he looked over the accomplishments listed for each name. They were all not even 30 years old, yet their strength was so formidable. Especially that Luo Qingxiu. Only 19 and she's capable of solo killing a high-level 5th rank fighter? What kind of monster is this? Han Han's adoptive senior sister, was she really such a genius? Lin Zikin's emotions surged and he struggled to calm down for a long time. But after another thought, he reminded himself that he came from a poor background and always stayed on the resource-poor earth. Furthermore, he followed the pure-blood human path, which constantly restricted his biological level. Despite so many limitations, he could still compete with Luo Qingxiu, a top-level genius. If he ever descended to the origin land and gained more evolutionary resources, his strength would surely increase just as dramatically. No, it would definitely be even more exaggerated. Origin land. I must go down to the origin land. I need to head there as soon as possible. It was the first time Lin Zikin had felt such urgency. Even before tonight, before he saw this list of alien human-level geniuses, he thought evolving steadily on Earth was a good approach. But now, seeing the terrifying strength of these geniuses on the list, he felt he should speed up too and accelerate his own evolution. Next, it's time to seriously prepare for my plan to make a name for myself. Starting with the school. As soon as school starts in half a month, I'll immediately challenge the people on the peak list and blast through all those old students. I'll use those old students as stepping stones to reach the standards for getting on the list. Lin Zikin stared at the names on the list, deeply contemplating his plan to make a name for himself. At that moment, Shen Qinghan's voice came from outside the door. "Xiao Chen, why is the door locked?" She had just finished showering, dried her hair, and came to Lin Zikin's place to stay over for the night and sleep with him. At the sound, Lin Zikin took his mobile phone and got out of bed to open the door for Shen Qinghan. Creak. The door opened, and there was Shen Qinghan in a blue floral nightgown, looking very pure and cute. It must have been locked by accident. Lin Zikin said to Shen Qinghan outside the door. Shen Qinghan nodded, "I see." She then stepped in with her slender and fair legs, walking gracefully into Lin Zikin's room. Sitting down beside Lin Zikin's bed, she complained, "Xiao Chen, that Sister Yan at the institute is really enthusiastic. She's so enthusiastic that I feel she's harboring some improper thoughts about me." "What do you mean?" Lin Zikin closed the door and sat down beside Shen Qinghan. Shen Qinghan frowned slightly. "It's like she really loves touching my hands, always touching them like she's obsessed. It feels kind of lesbian." Lin Zikin laughed in response, "You must be misunderstanding her, she's probably not lesbian. When I was at the institute, I would occasionally see her browsing videos of handsome guys on her phone. Her sexual orientation is normal. My guess is, she sees your skin is overly nice, and touching your hands does feel really good, so she couldn't resist wanting to touch it. Just out of curiosity. Once her curiosity fades away, I suppose she won't be touching you like an obsessed woman anymore. Is that so?" Shen Qinghan blinked her watery, peach blossom eyes. Lin Zikin affirmed, "That's exactly it." Shen Qinghan seemed happy and asked, "Does my hand really feel that good to touch?" Lin Zikin smiled, "Not just good, it's extremely good." "Really?" "Yes, and it's not just the hands that feel good to touch, but every part of your body feels extremely good to the touch, irresistibly so." "Then how about I let you touch me every day, would that be all right?" Shen Qinghan pushed Lin Zikin onto the bed with a giggly look, her expression a bit naughty. Lin Zikin poked her face and said in a gentle voice, "I've been touching you every day anyway, when have I not touched you?" Shen Qinghan kicked off her slippers, moved her butt back, and then stretched her fair little feet onto Lin Zikin's hands, coquettishly saying, "Lin Zi, this princess wants her feet warmed." Lin Zikin pinched her perky butt and laughed, "Still calling me Lin Zi? Got addicted to it, huh? Looks like last time's lesson wasn't enough. But you are Lin Zi, I want to call you that." "Still calling it, seems like last time's lesson wasn't enough," Lin Zikin said and lifted Shen Qinghan's nightgown to start her lesson. Shen Qinghan couldn't take it very soon and pleaded, "Stop, please, Daddy, I was wrong, I won't call you Lin Zi anymore." "Lin Zikin, Lin Zikin, I'll call you Lin Zikin from now on, alright? No small so it's not a eunuch. Okay, old King Han, no problem, old King Han. What old King Han? That sounds awful, call me King Han darling, at home call me King Han darling. Okay, silly bun, no problem, silly bun. Daddy, good daddy, can you please call me King Han darling? Shen King Han acted coquettishly. King Han darling, are you satisfied now? Satisfied, daddy? Shen King Han was completely content. P.S. Asking for your votes and recommendations. Chapter 318, 197. Is Bai Shui an alien? Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. The winter vacation at Shanghai University was nearing its end, and a new semester would begin tomorrow. During the past half-month, Lin Zikin spent most of his time at home or in his research institution, practicing the blood tempering technique with Shen King Han morning, noon, and night. During this period, Yuan Dongji and Lu Chuanwu, the divorced couple, provided a lot of resources that replenished qi blood for Lin Zikin and Shen King Han, who were in the heat of their romance, to help them practice the blood tempering technique. Lu Chuanwu was so poor he could hardly make ends meet, and could only present some revitalization pills at most. Yuan Dongji was different, though. With the powerful Nanjiang Yuan family behind her, and her extensive wealth, she had a house full of rich supplements. She gave them all, things like 100-year blood ginseng, 6-flavor remania fruit, blood-sipping devil flower, and various other precious exotic flowers and fruits, stuffing them into the arms of Lin Zikin and Shen King Han as if money were no object. To the unknowing observer, the cool and detached cheongsam-clad beauty would seem like the biological mother of these two. With so many resources boosting their efforts, Lin Zikin and Shen King Han greatly improved the efficiency of their body refining and managed to break through just before the start of the semester. The former achieved great accomplishment in 4th stage body refining, his qi blood inside becoming even more vigorous, comparable to a high-level 3rd rank expert. The latter reached body refining completion after the 2nd stage, her biological level evolving from the peak of ordinary 6th order to ordinary 8th order, jumping 2 levels at once. On the evening before the start of the semester, at 7:45 p.m., Lin Zikin and Shen King Han walked leisurely along the campus path, heading towards President Yuan Dongji's office in the administration building. Since Shen King Han's biological level had evolved to ordinary 8th order and her mental strength had also significantly increased, she could attempt to enslave the genetic material of a 3rd water attribute exotic beast. For this reason, Yuan Dongji had specifically prepared for her an extremely precious water butterfly genetic reagent. The water butterfly is an exotic beast that lives in water. It's not actually a butterfly, but it resembles one in appearance, hence the name water butterfly. This exotic beast is known for its mental strength, far surpassing that of other creatures of the same rank. Moreover, it can also deploy illusion techniques. It is an exceedingly rare psychic water attribute exotic beast. Even rarer than the gene of the azure jellyfish king. Even for a powerful family like the Nanjiang Yuan family, there were only a few water butterfly gene reagents in stock. Apart from its rarity, the difficulty of fusing with the water butterfly gene was also high. So high that there were only a few people on Earth who met the fusion criteria. Even a powerhouse like Yuan Dongji was not qualified to fuse with the water butterfly gene. Yuan Dongji believed that Shen King Han's constitution was so special that she could definitely enslave the gene of the water butterfly, so she had prepared the genetic reagent especially for her. Xiao Chen, my body refining quality is so poor. It's already the 2nd stage body refining completion, yet my biological level is only ordinary 8th order. Sister Yan also achieved the body refining completion after the 2nd stage, but she can already contend with advanced 1st rank experts, Shen King Han said with a slight frown, feeling somewhat distressed as she confided to Lin Zikin beside her. As they walked, Lin Zikin responded, Sister Yan practiced the blood tempering technique for a full 10 years, and only after great hardships did she reach the second stage body refining completion. As for you, you've practiced for less than half a year and already reached it. If you still envy Sister Yan, and if she heard you, she would probably faint on her yoga mat. Shen King Han, Sister Yan wouldn't be angry. She would just be happy for me and praise me for being amazing. Lin Zikan, Sister Yan might praise you on the surface, but she'd curse you in her heart. Shen King Han, Sister Yan isn't like that. Lin Zikan, unless Sister Yan isn't human, she'd definitely curse you. Shen King Han, you judge others by your own standard of pettiness. The two of them bickered back and forth in this way, and before long, they arrived at the door of the president's office. Lin Zikan raised his hand to knock and said, "Principal Yuan, we're here." "Come in," came the cool voice from inside the office. Lin Zikan pushed the door open and entered, with Shen King Han obediently following behind him. At that moment, Yuan Dongji was reclining in her office chair with her eyes closed, resting. Seeing the two enter, she didn't open her long, narrow phoenix eyes but simply said indifferently to Shen King Han, "Go drink some water. After you're done, lie down on the bed, and I'll inject you with the water butterfly gene." "Okay, I'll be troubling master later," Shen King Han said, then went over to the tea table to drink water. She drank one cup after another. Once she could drink no more, she would be ready for the injection of the Ghost Squid King gene, a water attribute gene. When fusing with the gene of a water attribute exotic beast, the more water one has in the body, the easier the fusion will be. Even though Shen King Han didn't need to fuse but enslave, drinking water wouldn't do any harm. There was no reason not to drink if it was free, and maybe having more water in her body might help with enslaving the beast gene. "Master, I'm full," Shen King Han, touching her bloated belly, said with a bit of discomfort. Yuan Dongji responded, "If you're full, come up and lie down." "Okay," Shen King Han replied and obediently lay down on the bed. Yuan Dongji wasted no time, she stretched out her hand to lift Shen King Han's shirt, took a cotton swab doused with alcohol, and gently wiped it over her chest, preparing for the injection by disinfecting the area. As she wiped, Yuan Dongji noticed Shen King Han's chest seemed to be a lot fuller than before and couldn't help but express her surprise. "How has it only been a while, and your chest has already grown a size bigger?" "Not really." Shen King Han, her face flushed with a hint of red, felt very embarrassed. Seeing the embarrassment on her little apprentice's face, Yuan Dongji also smiled and said, "You're a grown girl who's been cohabiting with her fiancé for half a year, how can you still be so easily embarrassed?" Chapter 319, 197. Is Bai Shui an alien? _2. I'm not shy, Shen King Han said weakly. She might say she wasn't, but her increasingly red, pretty face betrayed her. Seeing that her skin was so thin and she turned red with shyness at the slightest thing, Principal Yuan decided not to talk about her chest anymore, lest it cause too much emotional fluctuation, which could affect the upcoming gene slavery. After the disinfection was complete, Yuan Dongji took a syringe filled with the water butterfly gene reagent, aimed the needle at the area around Shen King Han's chest, and gently inserted it to start the injection. In just a few seconds, all of the water butterfly gene reagent had been injected. During the process, Shen King Han lay there quietly, without so much as furrowing her brow. Yuan Dongji put the empty syringe aside and said to Shen King Han, "If you feel any discomfort later, you must speak up right away. Don't suffer in silence." "Yes, I understand, Master," Shen King Han replied softly. Yuan Dongji didn't say anything more, but quietly placed her hand on Shen King Han's chest and dispersed her spiritual power to observe the process of gene slavery within her body. While observing, the full sensation from her hand made her quite envious. Her little disciple not only had an outstanding talent for evolution, but also in terms of physical curves. Her talent was equally impressive. In just a few months, her chest had become so much fuller, truly a gifted individual. The disciple was fortunate indeed. Several minutes later, Yuan Dongji removed her hand from Shen Qinghan's chest and said, "The enslavement was very successful, the water butterfly gene has been completely controlled by your own genes. After some time, when you've grown accustomed to controlling the water butterfly gene, you can try to see if you can use the illusion technique to attack. But don't have too high expectations, just because the water butterfly can use illusion technique to attack at the ordinary stage doesn't mean you'll be able to after controlling its gene. After all, the gene is just part of the material within the water butterfly's body, not the entirety of the water butterfly. You, who have only controlled its gene, will definitely not be as good as the water butterfly itself." "Yes, I understand, Master," said Shen Qinghan, nodding her head. The same reply she had repeated countless times. The phrase "Yes, I understand, Master" had practically become her catchphrase when speaking with Yuan Dongji. In the following time, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan stayed in the office, chatting with Yuan Dongji. They talked about the origin land, about the divine plant cult, about the pure-blood human path. They talked about anything that came to mind. The purpose of the chat was for Yuan Dongji to have Shen Qinghan stay half an hour longer to observe the situation of the enslavement in her body, in case of any sudden events. During the chat, it was mainly Lin Zikan who talked with Yuan Dongji. Shen Qinghan sat to the side, fiddling with the water butterfly gene inside her with spiritual power. "Activate, dormant, activate, dormant." That's when Lin Zikan asked, "Principal Yuan, could you tell me about your disciple from the origin land? I'm quite curious about her." Ever since he saw Luo Kyungsu's battle record on the list of alien class geniuses that night, he'd been filled with curiosity about Shen Qinghan's honorary older sister. He wanted to know just how strong the talent of Shen Qinghan's honorary older sister had to be able to defeat a high-level 5th-rank powerhouse at the age of 19. Yuan Dongji sat back in her office chair, took a sip of the warm tea from the desk, and asked, "Are you curious about her because of the battle record you saw on the list of alien human-level geniuses?" Lin Zikan replied, "Principal Yuan is astute." Yuan Dongji put down her teacup and, after a quiet moment of recollection, said, "Actually, I don't know much about my eldest disciple. I found her 11 years ago on a snowy mountain in the origin land. She was only 8 years old at the time, shivering alone under a tree, barely breathing, with blackened lips and an unusually pale complexion, apparently poisoned. She looked like she wouldn't live long, and would die soon. Seeing her in such a pitiful state, I saved her on a whim and took her with me. After spending some time with her, I found her to be quite sensible, so I took her as my disciple and raised her. After about 3 months of raising her, it was time for me to return to Earth, so I settled her in a base in the origin land, where she's been living ever since. Afterward, I would visit her in the origin land and bring her some gifts. As for her background and such, I have no idea. Every time I asked, she just shook her head, saying she didn't remember anything. She seemed to have amnesia. Was Luo Kyungsu picked up from the origin land?" Lin Zikan felt somewhat surprised by this, then thought of something and asked, "Principal Yuan, is this senior disciple of yours an alien human-level being?" "Yes, she's an alien." After saying this, Yuan Dongji added, "Because she's of alien status, she can only stay in the origin land outpost under surveillance, unable to come to Earth." Lin Zikan: "So, aliens can't come to Earth?" Yuan Dongji: "They can't. Her alien status is too special, it's not possible to allow her to enter Earth." Hearing this response, Lin Zikan fell into a bout of deep thought. If aliens can't come to Earth, doesn't that mean that Luo Kyungsu isn't the same transfer student from 2nd grade of elementary school, Bai Shui? But the two of them have far too much in common. Both their names contain the character for snow. Both have white hair. Even their ages match up. Most importantly, when Bai Shui left school 11 years ago, she was 8 years old, and the Luo Kyungsu that Yuan Dongji picked up in the snow mountain 11 years ago was also 8 years old. isn't that a bit too coincidental? Thinking this way, could it be that Bai Shui left school to go to the origin land? Lin Zikin earnestly recalled the details of when Bai Shui left school. He clearly remembered that it was a mechanically modified human who had come to process Bai Shui's withdrawal from school. It's strange, they were heading to the origin land, so why bother coming to the school to complete withdrawal procedures? Why make such an unnecessary move? Is it really that important to follow the rules? Also, mechanically modified humans can't go to the origin land. If Luo Qingxiu is really Bai Shui, then it shouldn't have been a mechanically modified human taking her away but a genetic integrator instead. Furthermore, if Bai Shui is indeed Luo Qingxiu, how did an alien like her manage to come to Earth to attend elementary school that year? What was her purpose in coming to Earth to attend elementary school? Just like the fox-eared girl, did the wealthy young miss from the origin land come to Earth to experience life? No, this is too confusing, it's impossible to make sense of it. Lin Zikin decided to stop thinking, no longer preoccupied with the matters concerning Bai Shui and Luo Qingxiu. He had stopped contemplating, but Yuan Dongji brought it up again on his own initiative. Yuan Dongji looked at Shen Qinghan and said, "You told me before that you had a transfer student in your elementary school who bore a strong resemblance to your senior sister, suspecting that your senior sister was that student. When I outright said it was impossible, it was because your senior sister is an alien, she simply couldn't possibly show up on Earth. The reason you think they're alike may be just because both had white hair, and because you were young back then and your memory wasn't clear enough, leading you to conflate the two into one." Upon hearing this, Shen Qinghan nodded, "Then I must have been mistaken." Lin Zikin once again sunk into thought. He wondered, since the fox-eared girl managed to smuggle her way onto Earth, then it might not be impossible for an alien to do the same. Perhaps Bai Shui really is Luo Qingxiu. But if that's the case, why she would come to Earth to attend elementary school and then suddenly return is another point that doesn't quite add up. Forget it, there's nothing good to think about. She was just a classmate from the second grade of elementary school, whether she's Luo Qingxiu or not isn't important, nor is it important if she is an alien. There's no need to waste so much effort pondering over her. Perhaps Bai Shui really is Luo Qingxiu. But if that's the case, why she would come to Earth to attend elementary school and then suddenly return is another point that doesn't quite add up. Forget it, there's nothing good to think about. She was just a classmate from the second grade of elementary school, whether she's Luo Qingxiu or not isn't important, nor is it important if she is an alien. There's no need to waste so much effort pondering over her. P.S. I'm setting out my bowl, asking for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 320, 198. Ma Ziwei wants to follow the pure-blood human path. After staying in the office for nearly 2 hours, Lin Zikin felt it was about time, so he took Shen Qinghan and left to head back home. After the two left, Yuan Dongji took out her phone and called President Ma Zhenhe of Evolution College to inform him about Shen Qinghan's situation. She explained that Shen Qinghan was walking the pure-blood human path and that, starting tomorrow, she would no longer be an Evolution College student but a member of the Tianren Pavilion. The news left Ma Zhenhe, who was at home, completely dumbfounded. After a moment of recovery, he asked incredulously, "Qinghan is clearly a genetic integrator, how can she be a pure-blood human? What exactly is going on?" "Qinghan is not a genetic integrator but a gene enslaver," Yuan Dongji stated calmly. "A gene enslaver? What does that mean?" Ma Zhenhe frowned and continued, "Principal Yuan, I don't quite understand. Could you please explain it to me?" Yuan Dongji replied, "It means that when the exotic beast gene was injected into Qinghan's body, it did not fuse with her genes but was instead enslaved by them." She shared Shen Qinghan's secret with Ma Zhenhe, without hiding a single detail. Because for Shen Qinghan to be listed among the alien class talents, she would need to demonstrate her strengths and potential once school started. There was no longer any need to conceal her abilities. What Shen Qinghan needed to do next was to show that she was a pure-blood human who had a special constitution that could gain abilities like a genetic integrator. She sought to join the list of alien class talents as soon as possible to access better evolution resources. For the next half an hour, Ma Zhenhe discussed Shen Qinghan with Yuan Dongji. After ending the call, Ma Zhenhe sat on the sofa in his living room, his face still filled with confusion, feeling somewhat unreal. Gene slavery? Was there really such a special existence? No, he must visit the Pure Human Research Institute tomorrow to see if it was really true. As he thought this, Ma Zhenhe grumbled, that old codger Lu Juanwu, he's so lucky, snagging 2 top-level geniuses all at once, it's sickening. Right after he spoke, Ma Ziwei, who had been taking a shower, came out from the bathroom. Hearing what Ma Zhenhe said, Ma Ziwei asked curiously, "Dad, what's this about President Lu recruiting 2 top-level geniuses?" Ma Zhenhe told her. "Principal Yuan just called to inform me that your classmate Shen Qinghan is a pure-blood human and will be leaving Evolution College to join Tianren Pavilion." Ah! Ma Ziwei was taken aback. After a moment of realization, she said, "How could Shen Qinghan possibly be a pure-blood human? I've seen her use the exotic beast gene before, she is clearly a genetic integrator." Ma Zhenhe explained, "Principal Yuan said she's not a genetic integrator but a gene enslaver. When the exotic beast gene enters her body, it won't fuse but will be enslaved by her genes." Can it really be like that? Ma Ziwei looked utterly confounded. In front of her, Ma Zhenhe was lost in contemplation, pondering the future trends of the pure-blood human path. Ma Zhenhe had heard from his daughter that Lin Zikan was attacked by the divine plant cult during a military special training. The scale of the attack was huge, even rare-level fighters were mobilized. This indicated the divine plant cult placed great importance on Lin Zikan. Now, with school about to start, Yuan Dongji suddenly arranged for Shen Qinghan to join Tianren Pavilion. All these actions seemed to hint that the pure-blood human path was not simple. It looks like they would need to pay close attention to a few individuals at the Pure Human Research Institute in the future. That's what Ma Zhenhe was thinking. And Ma Ziwei in front of him was thinking the same. Ma Ziwei pondered seriously. Hesitated for a while. Then she said to Ma Zhenhe, "Dad, I want to remove the exotic beast gene from my body." Hearing this, Ma Zhenhe frowned, "What are you thinking of doing? Don't tell me you also want to join Tianren Pavilion to walk the pure-blood human path." Ma Ziwei pursed her lips and replied, "Dad, based on Lin Zikan's performance and the divine plant cult's level of interest in him, the pure-blood human path is no simple matter. If I switch to it now, when it truly comes into prominence, I can be one step ahead and go further than others." Ma Zhenhe scolded, "Ma Ziwei, what on earth are you thinking? Do you realize how much damage removing the exotic beast gene from your body could cause? If it goes wrong, you might ruin your life." After saying this, he felt his tone might have been too harsh and spoke more earnestly, "Wei, think it over carefully. Do you really think Lin Zikan's outstanding performance is due to the enhancement from the pure-blood human path, or is it his own ability? If pure-blood humans were really that strong, would they have fared so poorly over the years? Besides, no matter how capable Lin Zikan is, he has not yet broken free from the constraints of being an ordinary creature. As long as he has not evolved into an advanced-level creature with a pure-blood human body, there is no future for the pure-blood human path to speak of. You're being too irrational in wanting to join Tianren Pavilion and walk the pure-blood human path now. You need to stay calm and not be so easily swayed, understand?" Ma Ziwei looked into Ma Zhenhe's eyes, earnestly saying, "But what if Lin Zikan, with a pure-blood human body, does break free from the constraints of being an ordinary creature and successfully evolves into an advanced-level creature?" Without hesitation, Ma Zhenhe replied, "Just because he can, doesn't mean others can too. Unless the pure-blood human path produces several advanced-level creatures in a short period, there's no need for you to even consider it." "I understand, Dad. It's late, I'm going to sleep in my room. You should go to bed early too, she said.